um, you know, to show compassion to us who can make a difference in this world. Welcome to the KTNG Morning Show, and I'm your host, the Grits Man, the G to the T to the Z, zesty above the mountain earlier today. And I do want to thank you and welcome you and say good morning or good evening wherever you are. But most importantly, I thank you for, checking us out. Yes, people, we reach everyone around the world with our programming, you just sit there and gave the entire Latino community a slap in the right now. Some of the things that we do, access is for all of them. You know what I'm saying? Right now, let's head into the world and so forth and see what these dirty, rotten, scoundrel-ass, chump-change bastards are up to today. All right. In order for the pen to order the mouth to put it out, because the heart has nothing to do with what's being written. So, that's right. The almighty cheeseburger. All the way up into today, we're all sitting up and saying to ourselves, okay, now we got to deal with Syria. What part of the industrial war machine are we just saying that we need a population decreasement, and the only way to do that is to, mitigate ourselves from having, too many. So what better way to, in retaliation for a suspected chemical weapons attack on civilians, saying, quote unquote, it could be very soon or not soon at all. What? Okay, WTF there. It's a WTF right there, because obviously this is another wolf supposed to be like, doing stuff in the vein of a Scandinavian nation. Okay? Then Jackass gets on on his favorite line. We're going to get to this point where I define collusion. Cheeseburger previously said he would, quote unquote, not broadcast his in Syria. He said in a post on Twitter that missile nice intelligence on the suspected toxic gas attack. Now, needless to say, why does this play out like we're basically about to do the same thing we did with Iraq and Iran and say it's the probability of the improbability of weapons of mass destruction being there? Now, I got to ask you this, people. Why would Moscow sit up and gas their own people? Why? To create a distraction to keep the money rolling in between the United States and Russia. Underneath the table, people, do you not see underneath the table? Okay, I guess we are not looking up underneath the table because we think animals and cats and dogs and so forth are looking there for the crumbs we drop off of it, right? Yeah. Okay. America the Great, America the phallic symbol, okay? With no Vaseline. Anyway, here's the question I gotta say. I gotta boot all of this in here because we gotta make this whole thing sort of add up because the particular pattern is right there for it. So here it is, people. Let's see if you guys can follow the bouncing ball. Now, in the Iraq-Iran situation, there were weapons of mass destruction which we could not find, but we went over there for some stupid reason for population control and, of course, looking to bank on some resources. Here we're going to deal with Syria, okay? And make it so bad, Russia bankrolls it. How does this not smell like a Cold War? I don't know. But an implementation of saying, no, this is a fluff Cold War. So these, Republic thugs are basically just lost. And then when you got John Bolton, who is no relation to Michael Bolton whatsoever, is basically sitting up there pushing the buttons of this amiable idiot. I mean, come on. I mean, here's the guy who sells the greatest amount of bullshit to the American public, and you do nothing about it, but sit there and take it, cornhole and all, with no Vaseline. But you complain underneath your breath every day of how this jackass is making your life, your community's life, your city's life, your town's life, your rural station's life, all of your lives miserable. If you don't believe me, ask the freaking farmers. Okay? If you don't want to ask me, ask the farmers who have helpers who are peeing all over everything. Okay? So this is the reason why you have E. coli problems. Because yes, indeed, they are pissed off at the government, so it's better for them to piss on the American people and give them sicknesses and so forth, while we still have immigrants making sure that we have our fresh vegetables and strawberries every bloody freaking day. Isn't that nice? No uvas, all right? Anyway, sitting up there, you have him being so Moscow in the United States, there is most definitely collusion. You want more proof? I'll tell you what. Let me give you this one. Let me give you this one from the Hill. All right. Now, this collusion. Well, if there are fascists supporting dictatorship that we have going on right now, and they stay in this conglomerate of fascism, racism, and straight up, the Russian. For the last 2 days, trying to figure out, well, this analytical system which is based out of Britain, is helping the Russians 9 times out of 10 get all the information they need to screw up the election for Hillary Clinton, and of course, put cheeseburger in its place. Am I filling in the blanks here for you? Possibly. McCarthy, D.C., reported in January that the FBI was investigating whether Torsion sought to funnel money to the NRA to help your Presidente, your beef of the leaf commander-in-chief, Cheeseburger, win the 2016 election. Let me go back over this again. Last month, the group received just one contribution from a Russian individual between 2012 and 2018, when there are 23 individuals. All right? Wyden has questioned the NRA for months about possible connections to Russia. Fraser said in a letter to the senator that the organization would stop providing information on this matter. Quote, given the extraordinarily time-consuming and burdensome nature of your request, we must respectfully decline to engage in this beyond the clear answers we have already provided, he wrote. If that's not a cover-up, what is? Okay? Think about it, America. America with 3 Ks in the middle of it. Think about it. If the NRA is reluctant to help students realize the pain that having gun violence in this country is a measure of, arrogance, and then as black children who go through the same amount of gun violence, if not more, who don't get their 15 minutes or 3 weeks of fame whenever the white children are basically shot and killed, then there is bias in the media. There is bias in the reporting. There's bias in the research. And there's also bias when it comes to these fascist organizations who tell you that the Second Amendment is all we can do to hide behind so that way we can't come out as cowards and tell you that, yes, we are ripping you off. Wow. Yes. You, my great gangbanger, contribute to the arrogance and the ignorance of your own society because you carry a freaking gun and you're too weak to use your damn hands. Right. Can't beat up, you can't stand up 1-to-1. You got to get a posse in order to beat one person down. And if you're not happy, you get a gun. Weak. W-E-A-K. Weak. And here, you guys don't even see how the elite establishment of the NRA has basically played you into this garbage and hide behind the Second Amendment, legally or not illegally. But I can tell you this much, people. I can tell you this much. A gun is only a phallic symbol of a black man's penis. What color is your damn gun? And if it's silver, guess what? We put aluminum foil on it. Yes. Who's peeping? So, needless to say, our federal government is at odds with its greatest contributor to not only money, but also gun violence, and has yet to take any responsibility whatsoever in their participation of advocacy for the Second Amendment. The FOP, the police departments, all of them follow the same dictum. And if that's going to be the same dictum, then we're going to have to shift the paradigm on this. All right? So what is more lethal than, say, the NRA contributing to not only Afghanistan, to where they were supposed to hold off the Russians then, and now the NRA is basically saying, we got people who can, make contributions to the NRA, and also who are making contributions to Cheeseburger's campaign. Oh, but there's no collusion, right? There's no collusion. All of it is starting to come together. And when it does come together, finally, you will have the I to the M to the P, E-A-C-H-M-E-N-T looming in the halls of the special house. I'll tell you what's special. What's special to me is watching the Republicards fall off one by one by one by one. I mean, Paul Ryan is about to leave up out of there. Rosenstein and Mueller are basically sitting on the chopping block, but they advise against it. And if Cheeseburger does fire him, there's going to be 300,000 plus people in the streets. Okay? And then they will see the facade, the sham, and the ugliness in which this so-called special house provides. That's right. Medicare for all, damn it. But Americans would love to have Medicare, consider it. But then again, the federal government is up to its old tricks again, and that is basically making sure that wages some are turning to a drug illegal in the United States. Jonathan Levison went to one clinic offering the treatment in Mexico. Okay, I would love to see Mexico put in a trade embargo on this. I mean, seriously, take America by the freaking balls on this one. If you have illegal Americans coming into your country looking for treatment, deport them quickly. That way they can come back, and since America is so freaking great, they can come back here and pay up the nose for the damn treatment. Since they already voted the right to die and the right to, over-medicate, why not? But see, they don't want that ugly scar in America, so therefore, you ugly Americans are taking your sorry asses down to Mexico when you don't want Mexicans in your damn country. That I call blasphemous hypocrisy. At the end of the dead-end street, the town near the U.S.-Mexico border, Emily Albert, an illegal American, is in the basement of a drug treatment clinic hallucinating about her son as a heroin addict. She imagines him going through rehab and desperately trying to get clean. But poor little Albert is the one with the addiction. She's in the middle of a psychedelic treatment for opiate addiction. Okay, so if the son is trying to get clean, why is mom down there illegally on drugs? Okay? She shouldn't even be able to come back to America. She should be thrown in prison with the other murderers and rapists from America. But Albert is one with addiction, and through tears, after the treatment is over, Albert recalls the vision of her son. Okay? Emily recalls the vision of her son. She says, I could just tell that he was older and going through whatever I'm going through. It's like, basically, if I don't do this, then he's going to have to. Emily is among a growing number of opiate addicts from the U.S. going to clinics in Mexico to get treated with a psychedelic drug called, oh my God, ibogaine. Okay, ibogaine. It's a derivative. It's a drug. It's illegal in the United States, but several studies have suggested it is effective in alleviating opiate withdrawals and curbing addiction. This is also true across Europe. Ibogaine risks are there. But it has been associated with at least 19 deaths. Given it's largely unregulated, the actual toll could be much higher. In New Zealand, the only country to have regulated the drug, the Medical Advisory Board MedSafe reported that quote unquote effects includes hallucinations, of course, but also seizures in rare cases, potentially fatal cardiac implications. So those of you who have a weak heart, I would suggest not doing this. Still, though, there is a growing body of evidence suggesting the FDA isn't accurate. When has the fascist drug administration ever been accurate about anything other than you being so sick that you can only be treated by the FDA? Now, essentially, it's because of the backlash against the psychedelic 60s, says Dr. Thomas Kingsley Brown, an anthropologist and chemist at the University of California, San Diego. In a study spanning 8 years, funded by the Multidisciplinary Association on Psychedelic Studies, or MAPS, Brown tracked outcomes for addicts who were treated with ibogaine. Quote, about 90% of the people in the study had a dramatic reduction in their withdrawal symptoms at a point where you would expect they'd be at their worst. So it's got to be cool and it must be a nice ride. Okay, so whenever you're doing stuff like that, it's got to be a nice ride. Brown also says the severity of their addictions were reduced throughout a 12-month follow-up period, and their relationships with family and loved ones improved as well. 2 days after her own ibogaine treatment, Emily is sitting on a deck at the clinic overlooking the Pacific Ocean when it dawns on her that she hasn't even thought about getting high in 2 days. That has happened That hasn't happened in 10 years. It's like they took my addiction and put it in an elevator and sent it 100 floors down. When Albert was 14, she had minor surgery on her big toe after a basketball injury. The doctor prescribed Percocet for the pain. She goes, I remember the first time I tried one, I didn't know if it was the antibiotics my mom had given me or what it was from those bottles, but I was like, that is great. I'm going to figure out what that was. Over the next few days, she tried one, then another. When finally she figured out, she says, it was game over from there. Okay. She quickly went from pills to heroin. Okay, so much for marijuana being a gateway drug. Okay, straight up. When she had to worry about passing drug tests, she'd huff cans of compressed air, sometimes up to 16 cans a day. This is a mom, okay, and she has a son. Because aubergine is illegal in the United States and not well known, the people with addiction who end up in Mexico seeking treatment are typically there as a last resort. 2 days before Albert's treatment, she was coming off a stretch of homelessness, barricaded in a hotel room north of San Diego. She wasn't answering the door or her phone, and an employee from the clinic sent to pick her up feared she might have overdosed. When she finally did answer, a brief standoff ensued. Oh yes. Okay. Quote, she's going to have to leave with you or leave with the police. Tom Leonard, who owns the clinic, told the employee over the phone. She chose rehab. Treatment at this clinic cost about $5,000 to $12,000 depending on the length of stay and program. Emily's parents ended up paying for her treatment, but Leonard says he does discounts and pro bono treatments for those who can't afford to pay. Those who pay full price subsidize those efforts. So it is important to go to a doctor. Yes, it's important to go to a doctor, but make sure that you ask the questions. Are there discounts or is there anything pro bono in the treatments that I'm receiving? So that way, because I don't have money, you can actually do this based on your Hippocratic oath. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to finish this story yet because we are halfway there. We are at the halfway mark of the KTNG morning show fun drive, which is going to be going on all single crazy freaking day. And you can do this, people. You can do this. You can do this that we are at. Join the conversation. Stay for the insanity, as I like to say. But this is the KTNG Morning Show. I'm your host, the Grits Man. And guess what? It is fun drive, people. It is time for our fun drive. He's a fox. That sort of thing. Not only that, but also fears and more importantly, how to conquer their core relationships with their parents who instill bigoted and racist ideals in their heads. Grow your children right and they'll have respect for every human being on the planet. All right? Halfway mark, people. Halfway mark until the 8 o'clock. Many paperweight or anything of that nature, or just basically just flash it and people saying, look, Uber donator between $5 and $20. Basically, it's real accesses, people. 3 straight up 3 accesses. No, this is not West Side, all right? This is Middle Side. Okay. Anyway, this goes into reprinting or reprinting mini manuals like this. Okay, this is 0.5% of the class. An ass. Okay, and after the grad, it's like, and she goes, "You never sent me my diploma. You was never very, And I hate it. I hate it when ghetto sisters do whatever the hell they want to do in my class. Not happening. You won't graduate, I tell you that much. We're mostly Latino. So what does that say? It says bad and da-da-da-da-da, and you want to hang out and party and bullshit all your freaking life. You know what it ends up? Very, very short. I mean, look at your friends, look at your sisters. Child support is coming in cash. And an EKG exam to make sure she was healthy enough for treatment. That night, in a dimly lit room, a nurse inserted an IV, hooked Albert up to an EKG for monitoring throughout her treatment. Then a doctor gave her 3 aubergine pills with calming instrumental music playing. Albert appeared to fall asleep. Aside from the occasional bathroom break or scream you might expect to hear from someone having a bad dream, she stayed like that for more than 24 hours. Meanwhile, she was experiencing vivid hallucinations. She goes to say there was a childhood memory that I didn't know was there, she recalls. It kept going around and around, and every time I get a little more. Leonard says that an important part of the process. You know, you revisit your traumas, but you see them from a very new perspective, and you get to make peace with these things, or at least move past them. The science behind imaging's efficacy, is treating addictions is up for debate. 2008 study of mice by neurologist Dorit Ron found imaging increased the level of brain protein called GDNF, which prevents the development of addiction. There are drugs that mimic some of imaging's effects. Savant HWP, an American pharmaceutical company, is scheduled to begin human trials next year on a drug called 18MC. Or 18 MCs. Oh, wow, cool. I got 18 MCs. They're all going to pass the mic, and we only got 30 seconds between each bar. Go! You know, that sort of thing. But therefore, it does claim to have imaging's desirable effect on addiction without the hallucinogenic component. I mean, that's America. We water down every damn thing and sell it for high. We're insensitive, cheap bastards. Okay. Now he goes on to say it's quite as simple as once this is in your body, it's helping to rewire things. There is an interplay with the psychology. Brown, Ron, and other researchers who are interested in imaging say there's still more research needed on safety and whether the hallucinations are critical to curbing addiction. So, in other words, if I get me something like, some mushrooms and whatnot, my pet name, I can go around and just basically just make sure that, I can stay completely hallucinogenic without ever having to take heroin. I mean, wouldn't that be great? We swap opiates for hallucinogenics. Wow. How about that one? So, what are the prospects of a hallucinogenic Schedule 1 substance being approved for medical use in the U.S.? Not as slim as one thinks. Now, the FDA just approved Phase 3 trials for MDMA, an active component in ecstasy, to study its use in treating post-traumatic stress. Brown believes it is likely to show good results and be approved. Now, I'm wondering, whatever happened to all those cats that were dealing in ecstasy now have been walking around with medication and they're serving time? Wow. In the meantime, while the opioid epidemic in the U.S. has slowly raised awareness of imaging, Leonard says that as an industry primarily run by former addicts, legitimacy has been a struggle. To his dismay, he says Google AdWords banned imaging ads last year. Leonard estimates that the romping through Mexico, where there are National Guards who are standing there waiting to bust anybody trying to get across the border. I say to you now, Mexico, around your border towns, whatever you do, if you see someone coming into your country that is looking for treatment, medical treatment, that is a buck and a dollar cheaper than anything else that's made in America, by all means, you have the desired right to kick their ass out your country. Because America being so great, we don't want you in our country. Ooh. Yeah, immigrants help and make this world go around. So needless to say, it is a combined effort of people who actually get out there and do the damn. They're able to go on that damn thing and beat it with a cucumber stick. It is very, very, very sickening. It's very sickening. Very sickening. Because with the opioid crisis and so forth, which is looming, to a point to where they're now taking these former addicts, okay, and they're giving them, work. The revolutions here. It is very, very imperative. Earth, wind, and fire. Michigan is another thing. Water is a human right. Yes, it is a human right. However, your state sees it far better to allow corporations, industrial corporations, to dump mercury and all kinds of radioactive pollutants in your rivers, contaminating not only your underground stream of water, just like the so-called pipeline that ran through South Dakota. Oh, nothing will leak, but it does. Okay, if nothing didn't leak, why are there potholes in the road? Why are there sinkholes? All right, that sort of thing. Nature. So on a Tuesday evening, all 4 of the city's remaining water distribution centers shuttered just days after Governor Rick Snyder he would discontinue the state water distribution program. Yes, the stock market kind of like took a nosedive from there. Since Friday, thousands of families, many with young children who depend on bottled water to drink, bathe, and wash their food, flocked to the centers to get what remained. Now, nothing is left. We want to talk about going to war with Syria, but we can't take care of our backyard. We want to talk about police brutality, but we cannot aid people who need water. A basic human right. And you multicultural national corporations and national corporations throughout the entire United States who have built crap up there and have basically, contaminated, the water supply should pay for the entire cleanup. But no, we gave all of our money to Mr. Shorthand, Smallhand, who basically said that I need more money to cover up my collusion with Russia, so this way when we go to war, it all works out for better.